year in Detroit this year. I believe the Detroit Tigers are not very good. And you might see players like Danny Duffy being moved around. But yeah, there's not much competition surrounding Marcus Stroman and Ken Giles. But then I believe there should be an argument that Ken Giles would undoubtedly get a much better return than Stroman. Won't you agree?
No, I feel like if I'm the team, I would much rather give up more for Stroman, a guy who's, I mean, they're both controllable players past this season, but I'd much rather have a starter than I would a reliever. Don't get me wrong, Ken Giles has been an excellent reliever for the Blue Jays. He's a guy who, I mean, you'd expect a pretty substantial return, but if I'm the Blue Jays, Marcus Stroman is my number one trade chip. He's a starting pitcher. Those are the guys that generally derive the most value from, like at the trade deadline. So I think Stroman is the guy that should probably get the most haul from, or I think you'd hope that they'd get the most haul from. But it'll be interesting because Ken Giles, the Red Sox right now are in need of a closer. I saw on MLB Network this morning they've lost 4 games this season when trailing going to the 9th inning, which is, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Who is their closer right now?
A form of comparison. They've sort of just been washing around a bunch of different guys, whether it's Matt Barnes or Brazier. I can't remember his first name. I think, is it Ryan Brazier?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah. So they've been rotating those guys. Not really been all that effective, but they certainly need a closer. And I think Ken Giles would be a good fit for them because, as I mentioned, they've lost 4 games this year, going to the 9th inning with a lead. So just they've lost 4 of the last 3 years with Kimbrel in total. That's obviously shocking. And you mentioned 4 games might not seem like a lot, but think about it like this: you win those 4 games, that's 4 extra wins, that's 4 less losses. All of a sudden, you're right in the least race, as opposed to right now where they're 8-9 games out of the race. So they definitely need an extra arm in that bullpen. I think they might be able to give up quite a bit for Ken Giles. I think that's their number one trade target.
Yeah, and speaking about Ken Giles, we did see him yesterday not appearing in the closing situation last night against the New York Yankees. No, yesterday afternoon against the New York Yankees. And a game where we saw Nick Kingham, a player who's not a very good player to say the least, saw the appearance of the bullpen, who undoubtedly gave the Yankees the lead. And what are your thoughts on Ken Giles not appearing in the league, in the game yesterday?
Well, first of all, you have to raise the question of injury. Ken Giles coming off the DL, and this was by Joe Slittle on the post-game show. Maybe that there was an injury there, and that's a big reason why he didn't pitch. You'd hope that's not the case. But from a strategic standpoint, if Giles was healthy, which, I mean, if you're warming up in the bullpen, that looked like he might have been healthy. So I'm not a fan of that. I think Blue firsthand in that wild card game where Buck Showalter didn't bring in Zach Britton in a non-safe situation. I'm always under the theory that it doesn't matter if it's a safe situation or not. It won't be a safe situation unless you get there. And I think you have to use your best guys until you get to that point. It's a lot harder on the road, obviously, because you can't have a safe situation in extra innings at home. So on the road, it's a lot different. But my theory is you got to play your best guys. And if you have to go to Nick Kingham in the 16th inning where you have nothing less, well, then that's all you can do, really, because that's not really a big issue. But I feel like to lose a game because of your bullpen when your best guy isn't pitching, I'm not a big fan of that move. But then again, you also have to remember the possibility of an injury, and we know nothing about that because, as we talked about, Charlie Montoyo wasn't questioned about the Ken Giles decision after that. So it certainly raises the question of that at the very least.
And we did see him warm up, didn't we, yesterday, I believe?
Yeah, he was warming up when the game was tied sometime within 1 or 2 out in the top of the 9th inning. So, yeah, it's very, very odd to say the least.
And hopefully it's not an injury which is bothering him. That would be really degrading.
Especially with the trade deadline coming. We mentioned a lot in this podcast about how key of a trade asset he may be. That's the last thing you want to do is have Ken Giles go down with an injury a month before you can get a nice haul for him.
Yeah, quickly shifting gears before our mailbag questions. We're running on limited times. In part 1, we're going to be having another part with a special host in James Price from Toronto Sports Talk podcast on YouTube. But another question with the trade deadline: Ken Giles, Marcus Stroman. Do you think Aaron Sanchez, after Ken Giles is traded, and presumably Marcus Stroman is traded, it appears that he wants to be traded, do you think Aaron Sanchez would possibly be able to slide into that closer ninth inning role?
That's a very interesting question. And once again, as our weekly Sanchez update, pitched Monday against the Yankees, looked like he was off to a much better start, but sort of fell apart later in that game, and his overall numbers, no different from what we've seen recently, another poor outing in terms of the numbers. That'll be interesting. I think Aaron Sanchez is a likely trade candidate as well, so that might be a reason why he's not in that closer spot, simply because he won't even be on the team if he is traded. I don't know. I mean, clearly something's not working as a starter. You're obviously not sending him down to AAA. I don't know if you're going to trade him, chances are you're not going to get the full dollar on the dollar, you know what I mean? Like, you're probably going to trade him at a discount because of the year he's had and the injuries that he suffered over the past 2 years. There's a lot of questions, and I think that there's too many questions for me to really have an opinion on it. I wouldn't be a terrible idea to move him as a closer because at the very least he'd be a very dominant closer because he can just suggest that fastball. He got a very good fastball, and he's had some experience in the bullpen, and he's done very well. That was earlier in his career. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye out for. But I don't really know what they're going to do with Aaron Sanchez. Like, are you going to trade him? You're not going to get much from him at this point, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see what the market is on him, but certainly not an ideal situation.
Yeah, and maybe teams can jump on the idea of his upside and his 2016 season, which kind of looks like a liability right now in terms of all his career years.
Yeah, no doubt. The 2016 season certainly looks like it's happened a lot. It doesn't feel like it happened 3 years ago. It feels like it happened a long time ago.
Yeah, such a great season by Aaron.
Yep.
And
anyway,
jumping to the mailbag
happier
questions.
times.
Mailbag time?
Let's do it.
All right, we got Pay034 asking, when will the Toronto Blue Jays' next playoff appearance be? What year?
Oof, it's a good question. So let's just think about this for now. Obviously, we can pretty much write off 2019. No doubt about that. 2020 will be interesting, but ultimately, I'm not going to say... It's hard for me to imagine a team that's on pace to lose 100 games this year will be in the playoffs next year. Just for... I mean, a lot of things can change within a year, but that's just what it looks like. It's hard to say that there'll be a playoff team in 2020. So I'm going to go... I'll say by 2021, they'll be in active contention for a playoff spot. Whether they'll make it or not, who knows? A lot of things can happen in baseball. 2 years from now, a lot of things can happen. So I'll say 2021 is the earliest that you'll see them in contention. But as when they'll make the playoffs, that'll be a while before we can really tell that.
I'm going to have a hot take and say I believe next year it'll be borderline contending. Kind of have a year like the Athletics last year. Maybe make a big splash in the free agency, but who knows with this regime.
That'll be tough because in order to make a splash, you have to know that you're in contention. And going into this offseason, can you really suggest that this team will be in contention? I'm not sure you really can.
Not a splash, but like a nice print, like a nice player, like kind of like a Patrick Corbin type of guy.
That would be nice. You definitely need to bring in a starter, especially if Stroman and Sanchez are traded. There's really not a lot of options after that. So I think they'll be obliged to bring in a decent starter or two.
Yeah, hopefully kind of not Edwin Jackson type stars, that's for sure.
Definitely not.
All right, I'm going to take this one, possible trade. So the trade deadline is going to be coming up July 31st. We're going to have a whole podcast based around the trade deadline. We're mentioning possible suitors, possible tradable assets for the Blue Jays, what a return would look like, and everything much more. But right now, possible trades I can give you is possibly a Marcus Stroman trade, a Justin Smoak trade if he is healthy, maybe a Ken Giles trade, possibly looking like that right now. Off the top of my head, those are the three main guys you'd see traded. We might see some minor guys traded, like maybe Daniel Hudson. He's had a pretty nice year for the Jays in the bullpen. Kind of like flip him like John Axford like we did last year. maybe some more minor trades in the bullpen we may see, but as of right now, I believe those three guys mainly will be traded come July 31st.
Yeah, I mean you pretty much summarized it all. I mean, not really much to add there. Those are the three guys that you'd expect to be traded, and maybe who'd you mention again? You mentioned Stroman, Giles, and Smoke,
and then Daniel Hudson.
And Daniel Jansen, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you should add Sanchez to that list as a guy who I'm sure the Blue Jays will be taking calls on him. Whether they traded him or not because of his diminished value will be another question. But, yeah, those are the five guys that you'd expect to be gone. I mean, really the question is, out of all those five guys mentioned there, who do you not expect to be traded? Because, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if neither of them are on the roster.
The one player I'd be surprised if I saw him on the roster, Stroman probably.
Yeah, I think Stroman and Giles are definitely the most likely to get traded. Smoke,
I wouldn't be surprised if he was on the team, to be honest.
Me neither. I think you should trade him because I think if you're not contending, any guys that are expiring and that have good value, like Smoke, he's having a pretty nice season. I think you should trade him, even if you don't get a good enough return if you're trading him for some discount. But Justin Smoke, it's tough for a first baseman, essentially because first baseman, they also DH, so you can only really trade him to the American League. A lot of teams aren't contending in the American League, so there's certainly a lot less of a market for first baseman. It's hard to judge, but I certainly think that you can still trade him and get something decent for him. He hasn't had the year that he's had the last couple of years, but still having a very effective season with an OPS above 780. That's certainly well above average. He can hit occasional home runs and plays good defense at first base, so it'll be interesting to see that as well.
Yeah, and also Smoke, he's a first baseman. I believe some teams are lacking in that department right now, and he can fill the void. He certainly is a nice veteran presence to have on a team, and undoubtedly he will be a key player for a team after the July trade deadline. But yeah, those are the main players. We'll discuss more about it as the rumors flare up, but it should be make for an interesting month of July. Okay, we have Nick DeGostino, 35. Just saying, Pina Power. Speaking of Gurriel, what a season he is. What a comeback, you could say, after the demotion he's had, no?
100%. And we talked about this at volumes as well. He's playing at an elite level ever since being called up. May 24th was the day he got called up. He didn't have a home run at that point in time. He's got 12 today, and today's June 27th as we're recording. He's found his niche on defense in left field, playing very well there, and an absolute turnaround. I think that he's not played enough to be considered among the All-Stars, but I don't think it's a ridiculous idea to suggest that if he continues for another few weeks at the tear he's had, that he might get in. I mean, it's unlikely because obviously he spent a lot of time with his demotion, but to even suggest that it's a possibility after the start that he had is truly remarkable. He's had a great year, and he's been really fun to watch. At this point in time, you could argue that he's been the most fun player to watch on the team all year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's kind of unlikely now. But one thing I do want to suggest is I feel like Gurriel should have made the Home Run Derby over Gurriel Jr. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the Home Run Derby is a lot like the dunk contest in basketball where, well, I mean, it's not been like that recently in basketball because there's no more stars in the dunk contest, but I think in the Home Run Derby you want noticeable names, even though there's Vlad Guerrero Jr. right now. He's got 7 home runs, which is certainly not Home Run Derby worthy. But I think that people know Vlad Guerrero Jr., they know the name, they know the talent, the upside, and I think that just in that, you generate a lot more interest and from the casual fans to see a guy who can hit the ball farther. So that's probably why.
Just some technical difficulties there with our co-host Robert right now. And we'll continue right now.
I cut out?
Yeah.
Well, when did I cut out?
Just a few seconds ago.
Oh, okay, yeah, my bad. So anyway, I think that's the only reason why it's not Gurriel over Guerrero, because Vlad, he's got the name, everyone sees the Instagram post when he got called up, he's related to Vlad Guerrero Sr., so I think they're just trying to make a show out of it. That's the whole point of the Derby, and that's why he's there.
Yeah, and also I want to add in kind of like Buck Martinez, he always finds a way to degrade Luis Gurriel in left field on the throw. Yesterday I've noticed that he called Gurriel getting flat-footed, which he wasn't flat-footed. Kind of annoying to see how Buck Martinez always kind of picks on these little things, especially by Gurriel.